I'm back. I'm Mr. Kelvin Tan. So I hope you have enjoyed that last video when I guided you on how to read the case study, how to dissect how to read through all the economic questions, as well as how to link the case study extracts and the figures you are reading based on the questions you have read. So right now, right, I'm going to help you to dissect the lower order skill questions. I mean, these are basically the 12-mark question. The first 12 marks in your particular case study in this case. Okay, anything that where the command word doesn't require some kind of justified conclusion. The very first question is estimate and compare the value of total imports of agriculture products in 2 years. So if I'm you, right? Okay, so if I'm not underline the command word, I will do this, estimate and compare the value of total imports in only two particular years, 2013 and 2005. So we look at the figure, this is 2005, this is 2013. Okay. So, so means to fulfill the first command word, right, I have to give an estimation of the import. So as I said to you, right, x minus m you m. Okay, that's the beautiful thing of a bracket, right? Minus times minus is plus. So in order to get an estimate of the import, the imports of agricultural goods in 2005, okay, if I look at my eyes, this one, okay, so this one somewhere here, okay, so if you look at this, right, you can roughly estimate that in 2005, right, it's about 5 billion. Okay, 5 billion. So let's say, for example, you can think of this as 8. Okay, think of this as somewhere 3. Okay, so anything, so you can see the first one should be about less than 10, right? So from your eyes, it should be about 8. Okay, but for the one that's the diagonal shape, it should be less than 5. So my eyes will tell me 3. So 8 minus 3 is about 5. So again, right, as I said in the last video, the command word is estimate. So they are aware that not everyone's eyes will be that sharp. Okay, so long as not obviously wrong. Okay, so if you accidentally consider as 9 and 3 and you said 9 minus 3, 6, it's also fine. Don't worry, don't lose sleep about that. So 2005 was 5 billion. Then when you look at 2013, okay, so if I look at my eyes, right, this my guess is this is about 38. Okay, 38. Whereas this is about, okay, good. The thing is this is about 20, right? 38, 20. So if you ask me, I could say that no, 38 minus 20 will be about how much? It will be about 18, right? 18 billion. So so the answer that we provide for you was we say about 20. But it's fine to also say 18. Okay, so the whole idea is that the value of the total imports of agricultural products was about 20 billion in 2013 and 5 billion in 2005. So if you estimate correctly, it will be the first mark. Okay, it will be the first mark. But remember, the command word is compare. So you need to make a comparative statement. So in this case, okay, is that clear? That it should be about 4 times higher. Okay, 4 times higher. This is how you get both the marks for this particular question. Next, for part B, okay, using a supply and demand diagram, explain how the India's government's purchase of grains at artificially high minimum support prices has contributed to the changes shown in figure 2. So again, right, when the case study question require a diagram, make sure you explain the diagram. So for this case, you need to draw a minimum price diagram. Okay, so make sure you draw a diagram that looks like this. The key is this: with the implementation of the minimum price, right? For this case, the Indian government is committed to buy up the surplus stock of rice. You see, all minimum price, right, creates some form of surplus. So when the government buys up the surplus of QSQD, so this will give you the increase in wheat and rice stocks observed in figure 2. So you must make reference to the figure 2 says that because of the purchase of the surplus, this explains the increase in wheat and rice stock. And as I said, right, in extract 2, it is said that some of these stocks are exported. Because of that, this also explains the rising trend of wheat and rice exports in figure 2. So the allocation of marks for B is roughly like that. 1 mark for the diagram, 1 mark for the identification of the surplus. So it basically means that 2 marks for a correct diagram and explanation. Okay, that it leads to a surplus. Then the third mark is linked, if you can link the diagram to the increase in wheat and rice stocks. And the final mark is to link to increase in wheat and rice exports. So can you see, I've talked about causality, right? Cause and effect. So can you see the cause and effect here? So the cause, right, is the minimum price. The minimum price has been implemented. The effect they're looking for is the increase in wheat stocks and increase in export. So this how. So it means in order to get all 4 marks, right, make sure you talk about both effects. Link the cause to the 2 effects. Okay, this is what I mean by if you understand causality, it's harder for you not to get good marks. Okay, you are able to give a full explanation to what the question requires. C part 1. Suggest 2 ways in which changes in the prices of exports and imports might lead to a change in India's terms of trade in 2013 compared to 2005. 2 marks. No, you can see, right? It's a 2-mark question and it asks you to suggest 2 ways. So it means basically 1 mark for each way. You must have 2 ways, 1 mark for each way. Now, the command word suggest, right? You rarely see in case study. But for this case, right, suggest is similar to the command word state. Okay, don't need to waste time to explain why. In a sense, this question can think of state 2 ways. Okay, so state 2 ways. So, like I said, right, they help you because they are not very sure. Cambridge cannot like be sure that every junior college will teach terms of trade. So since they are not sure, right, they explicitly spell out to you the terms of trade formula. So it's the PX over PM times 1,000. So as I said when we went through the figure, that the terms of trade has increased, but the marks are given to for you to state how might the terms of trade increase. So by the formula, there are 2 ways you can say. Okay, number 1, you could say that the price index of exports, which is the numerator, is rising faster than the price index of imports. So from the fractions, right? If your numerator increase faster than the increase in the denominator, the entire fraction should be going up. Okay, or you could say that the price of index for exports is rising, but the price of index of imports is falling. That will be another mark. Of course, there are various permutations and combinations that this might be possible. So you could say that the price index of exports is falling, but the price index of imports is falling at a greater rate, at a faster rate. So any of these ways can explain why the changes in the prices of exports and imports might lead to change in the India's terms of trade. So you can see the cause and effect here, right? You must link the changes in the price of exports and imports, that's the cause, to the effect, which is the change in the terms of trade. In terms of trade. But don't overthink this question. Don't try to explain why the prices may change like that. Okay, don't overthink this question, otherwise you'll waste time. Okay, there's an opportunity cost for writing things that are not relevant. You are foregoing the benefits of spending those extra time on the more important questions, especially the 8 and the 10 marks question. Number 2, explain how a rise in the terms of trade can be consistent with a strong rise in the value of India's net exports of agriculture products. Okay, 4 marks. So this is a good example of a cause and effect type of question, where the cause is the rise in the terms of trade. The effect is that a strong rise in the net exports, which I break it down to PXQX minus PMQM. Okay, so now this should, by breaking up to PXQX minus PMQM, you should be able to tell that the economic concept that you are supposed to use for this question. Remember, the command word is explain, so there are always some economic concepts they are trying to test. So other than to test whether you understand what net exports is, which is export revenue minus import expenditure, PXQX minus PMQM, when there's a rise in the terms of trade, right? So given by your part 1, C part 1, the price of exports could be the one that increase. Okay, to an increase. Now, by the law of demand, right, if the price of exports is higher, you would think that the quantity demand of export should be lower. So without using PED, right, you don't really know how the total export revenue will change. But once you realize that it's PED, okay, you can link the rise in the prices to the change in the net exports, which is P times Q. So if you recall your C1, the concepts of elasticity you learned in your JC1, okay, when price increase, how it might lead to the P times Q increasing is when the demand for exports is price inelastic. So this is the suggested answer. 2 marks per point. You should be clear, right? The demand for agriculture products is price inelastic. So try to justify why. So it should be quite obvious, right? Agriculture products have very few substitutes, and they are also necessities in many countries. I think that should be about 1 mark. So the second mark is for you to explain. As price increase, the quantity demand would fall by less than proportionate. So when that happens, the total export revenue will increase. That will be 2 marks. The next 2 marks, right, is to link to the terms of trade and the balance of trade. So this explains why the rise in the terms of trade, perhaps due to the price index of exports rising faster. So in that case, right, if your C part 1, had you used this point, that is because the price of exports increased faster than the price of increase in the price of imports, the whole idea is that export revenue increases more than import expenditure. So when that happens, India's net exports will rise as well. So that will be 2 marks. Okay, so basically 2 marks for using PED, explaining the PED correctly for agriculture goods, and finally link the change in either the PXQX and the PMQM to explain how the balance of trade, the net exports, can also increase. So this will be the total 4 marks. Okay, so I hope you have an idea how to tackle all the lower order skills question. Thank you.